It's your boy Crypto Blood. Hope everyone's doing well today. Let's get it going, baby. Episode 68, Off the Chain. Listen, one of the livest, most informative live streams in the crypto game. Let's get it. Tonight, I've got my main man, RiceTVx, on with me. Mind Your Biz is joining us tonight as well. Show both of them some love. I'll have a link in the description to their channels. Shout out to the Hooli Gang for this song, man. This is like my theme song for Off the Chain. Shout out to Hooli Gang, Stacking My Coin. You can check that out on SoundCloud. Surfing through the city while them chips rise. Hot boy, do it big time. Tonight, we're going to be talking about crypto, surviving the mining issues, the environmental issues and legislation that we see around the globe. This whole push for this green new world is going to have an impact on mining, especially proof of work coins like Bitcoin. We got a great article we're going to talk about tonight. I really want to get Mind Your Biz input and opinion on this. This is his wheelhouse when it comes to cryptos and mining. So we'll talk to him and RiceTVx about that. Also, NFL star Odell Beckham Jr. looks like he's got some tax issues with taking 100% of his salary in Bitcoin. And he did that when it was around $69,000 and it's dropped dramatically. And now it looks like he's going to have over a 50% reduction in the money that he's taking home because he decided to take it all in Bitcoin. We're going to talk about that. It just really, to me, it definitely supports and reinforces my thesis about what Bitcoin truly is. So many people in this space still don't have the correct concept of what Bitcoin is. It's not money. It's more of an asset. Gold 2.0 if you want to call it. But we'll talk about what's going on with these NFL athletes and other athletes taking their salary in Bitcoin and what type of tax ramifications there are. People are not really talking about this. Also, Ethereum 2 no longer. Ethereum Foundation ditches the name ETH2 in a move to call it the consensus layer. Oh my God, just get Ethereum 2 out. Stop all the marketing stuff. Let's just get it out, right? Anyway, we'll talk about that. And lastly, Facebook Diem. That's it. That is the Libra project is no longer. Your boy Crypto Blood told you that was going to happen. Crypto Diamonds striking again. But we'll talk to the panelists and see what they feel about that. All that and more coming up on today's episode, Off the Chain. That's number 68. Let's get it, people. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Also, let's get these views up. Let's go. If you're not subscribed to the channel, CBTV, please do that right now. Click the bell, unclick it, click it again, click it again, click it again, click it, unclick it, click it again. You know what's happening. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin. Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live. Okay. Yeah, we're doing it live, people. Welcome to another episode. Let's bring my main guys in the building. RiceTVx. What's going on, brother? How are you? Look, it's like you popped onto the right side today. Did they switch it up on? Oh, we got.
I don't know. The layout looks good. I don't know why it's. I think it's because you. I think it's because you had yourself big. But if we would be doing a screen share, we would probably be on the left-hand side.
Rice.
I wish they had more flexibility.
Back from COVID, super spreader. Thank you for giving everyone in Florida COVID.
Well, yeah, that's a question. That's a question whether I gave it to everyone or someone else gave it to me. I don't know. Maybe you gave it to me.
I know.
Maybe Trent, maybe Reggie Middleton gave it to us.
Really? Varicovid? Is that what? Varicovidism?
Varicovid.
Varicovidism?
Let's come up with a token to Varicovid.
How you doing, man? You feeling better? You're looking better.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling tons better, man. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Glad you are too.
Yes, I bounced back
It didn't
like
do
ground ball.
anything. Like it hit me hard compared to everybody
Probably
else.
your first time. It's my third time around the rodeo with this COVID stuff. So it literally I was down maybe day in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Not even. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it took me a good week.
yeah.
Still, I mean,
But
some of the
now you got the immunity. You got the natural immunity to
well, I
it.
can't really taste and smell much. Like my coffee is like I know it's hot, but I can't. I figure I could drink it black and it wouldn't matter, but I still put my usual stuff in it.
Gotcha. Let's bring Mind Your Biz into the building. What's going on, brother?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Blood.
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing okay. Had a little project with the kids today where it's so crazy. I tweeted about this a minute ago. We were talking about all these weird health crazes that we go through, like the non-aluminum deodorants and putting crystals on your body and stuff, and brushing your teeth with like activated charcoal. And my son was like, I want to try that. Why not? Like, I mean, they it's like people who buy pet products. They pay a premium for it. I want to make some. So he's side hustling his way into this remineralizing toothpaste. He made
Okay.
All right. He's very proud. Go. He made cinnamon flavor and he made a peppermint flavor.
Okay. Cool, man. Being a daddy, that's great, man. Absolutely the best. I love being a parent, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Definitely wouldn't. So tonight,
it's a full-time job, man. On top of everything else, right?
Right. Absolutely. So tonight, guys, we're gonna be talking about a couple of topics I already have in the description of the live. So definitely click those and check them out as we start to talk about this. But to you guys, what was kind of the topic or article that stuck out to you?
Well, I mean, you called out you wanted my take on the crypto mining not surviving. I did a little bit of a hot take as a callback to something that Ben Armstrong, our mutual friend and guy who obviously we respect, BitBoy Crypto. I did a little callback to his take on how he thinks that Bitcoin has to change because of mining. I disagree with that. We could absolutely gnaw on that for a minute.
Oh man, we're gonna have a good debate tonight then, because I think I'm on the side of BitBoy. Rice, what's your take on this mining situation? Is it sustainable from a proof of work standpoint with Bitcoin?
What I would like to see is us, and I mean, it's happening more and more. And I was trying to find some websites with statistics, but using a lot more of renewable energies, utilizing like turbine with wind, solar, water. If we can utilize these types of energy sources, it doesn't really take away from what we already have. And also, a lot of these electric plants that are kind of using their excess. They're extra to be able to do mining and things like that. So I'm not really quite convinced with the argument that it's affecting everything environmentally. I mean, I've seen some articles talking about it uses more electricity than some nations. Yeah, but I'm not quite sure that it has the detrimental effect that people are saying that it does. I mean, I'm not an expert in this field, but I have seen some websites that have gone over a lot of really detailed information showing where the renewable energies are being utilized and how it's not taking away from things as they're trying to try. I for whatever reason, I feel like it's just more FUD, more ways to be able to kind of say negative things about Bitcoin and these proof of work cryptocurrencies. But again, I'm not an expert on the subject. It is something that I definitely need to do a little bit more deeper diving in. This is definitely an area that I would say that Seth's opinion would hold a lot more weight on.
Yeah, we're definitely going to lean on Seth regarding that tonight. Get his professional opinion about that. My thing is, I think that mining, at least Bitcoin, is not about where we are today, Seth. It's more about scalability of it. That's my concern, because you have an exponential issue, right? The more people jump on the grid, or even if they do the alternative. I have a guy, one of my best friends down in Texas. He's heavily involved in taking excess reserves or what do they call it? Something from the gas industry.
Natural
right?
gas flaring.
The flaring, the runoff from that, and using that. But again, to me, guys, it's about scalability. If everyone is minimized or they have to go down that route, is there enough excess flare off runoff reserve for that to even be sustainable as well?
I mean,
That's kind of the question.
it's definitely an argument on a lot of different sides, because from a perspective of staking, I mean, you're taking coins out of circulation. Um, Staking it's almost a rich man's game, because if you look at the price of Ethereum, for 32 Ethereum is still not obtainable for the average person. Some of these master nodes, you look at like Dash master nodes, I mean, they get to be really highly priced. So you're going to end up just having like institutions, data centers. It won't be the everyday individual. I would like to see a consensus algorithm that isn't proof of stake, that isn't proof of work, that allows for more people to be able to participate equally, and not matter how much hash power, how many different ASIC cards you're running, etc.
Yeah, so and that's one of our a core ethos of the company that I'm running or help running, EOS Detroit, right? We're proficient in the delegated proof of stake consensus algorithm, which is better than even this proof of stake, and we can talk about that later. But like even down to like delegated proof of stake or proof of stake, I think DPoS is like 76,000 times more carbon efficient, or has a less carbon efficient footprint than Bitcoin mining. So
So
you have
I'm
those
gonna
bit.
counter that. I'm gonna
Okay, go
counter that
ahead.
in a minute, but yeah. So well, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, so
But counter that.
when you have that big of a gap, industry is going to move, and they are moving toward proof of stake and other proof of delegated proof of stake and all these other consensus algorithms other than proof of work. I guess my thought here, and people in the comments definitely chime in, I just feel like it's proof of work. It was the first kind of consensus algorithm that was popular. It's just not scalable in my opinion. Mind your biz.
Yeah, so I'm going to push back a little bit. EOS is, I think, as a fine example, and DPoS, it was a phenomenal contribution, right, to blockchain in general, and open source being what it is, and the ethos of cryptocurrencies and blockchain being primarily free and open source software, that blesses every blockchain project that comes after EOS, including Wax, which was a direct fork of EOS because they didn't like the way that EOS was being run, and they wanted a
Right.
little more security and reliability for their own purposes. Plus, they
Right.
wanted to be vertically integrated just for
Gaming
NFTs and
NFTs,
digital assets,
yeah.
right? That's so whatever. That's their thing. But DPoS is not unique to EOS at this point, right? There's so many other
No.
blockchains that have been able to derive great work by standing on the shoulders of the people who came before, and slowly but surely we're building these
Tezos
innovative systems.
is
Yeah,
one, right?
they're not the only ones, but I mean, it seems like almost every proof of stake system now is limiting their proof of stake validator network to a very narrowly defined quorum of validator nodes, which
Sure.
by any other name is just DPoS, right? So you've got some upcoming projects. Without shilling, I'm just going to say the Pulse Chain
Yeah, go
network,
ahead.
which is
Absolutely. Pulse chain.
I'm not going to shill it or whatever. I mean, but Pulse Chain, they're going to
Shill
have
that
a
shit.
dedicated quorum of validator nodes, which is by any other name DPoS.
So they're going
So
to replace that aspect on their Ethereum fork to
well,
distinguish
technically,
it from being just a straight fork of Ethereum.
well, that's the funny thing about Pulse Chain is that strictly speaking, it's actually a fork of Binance Smart Chain, which is already DPoS. They're just
Okay.
they're copying the Ethereum chain state for all the assets over to that fork of BSC. So yeah, like
Okay.
you're saying,
I didn't know it
Blood.
was a BS. I didn't know it was a BSC fork with incorporating the EVM and Ethereum aspects.
Right. Well,
That's
that's not
interesting.
a convenient part of their narrative, right? It doesn't help anybody who's a stakeholder right now to admit that that's the absolute state of things, but that is the absolute state of things. They're forking BSC's code, and fine, more power to
That's
them
fine.
if it
Yeah.
works, right? Like you're saying, and Blood, I have no fundamental disagreement with innovating in a space when you're trying to create something new, but with proof of work in established networks. I mean, how many derivative projects have forked off of Ethereum and Bitcoin and then used all of the onboarding benefits and airdrop benefits and distribution of those proof of work networks to their advantage? It's really hard in my mind to separate blockchain and cryptocurrencies from that first generation, especially when people use the argument of onboarding, for example, saying, well, proof of work is only useful for onboarding because when you can mine it on a laptop, then both Bob and Alice, from two sides of the world, they can both fire up their laptop and they can get some coins. Well, that sounds
Well,
cool, except Satoshi talked about it scaling to the point that it's at right now and beyond. So this has all been planned for.
right, which means that the everyday individual just can't mine Bitcoin right now,
No,
except
they
for
have to
that
pull.
one lucky miner.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
report on
you know,
that.
this little
I did report on
USB
that.
stick miners want a full block.
Yep.
That's
Was that
it's
what it
the
That's
was?
consensus.
rare.
Yeah,
But
but here's the
that's
thing.
rare.
But the consensus model is designed to do that in a proof of stake system and in a DPO system. It is absolutely ivory tower
You can't
management.
do that. That's true.
There's no way around that. Like,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
So do you
yeah,
But
think
so
that that's more
we've got to come to
centralized?
some.
Is
Go
that
ahead.
more centralized then by
Yes.
doing it that way?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I look at a project like EOS and Binance Smart Chain as having a lot of centralized aspects.
Yeah, I would say EOS, and Wax
Because it
and
limits
Telos
who
and
can
stuff
be
would be
it
less. I
limits who
think it's
can
less
be,
centralized than Binance Chain, but
but still centralized.
still it's a scale. Well,
Right.
no, it's a scale. It's not
yeah,
a binary thing. It's not decentralized or centralized. It's a
I like that.
scale.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
scalar
mean,
or spectrum. Yeah,
that is
Yeah.
something that I would like to have a conversation about in the future, is just not about articles, not about anything else, just about different concepts within crypto, especially the idea of decentralization. I think that's an important one to try to talk about philosophically, what it actually means, what it isn't, because I had a complete misconception that every project, when I first started understanding about decentralization, I just thought of everything as being like a DAO type situation where everybody has an equal voice in the future of the project.
Mm-hmm.
When a lot of the decentralization may come into the distribution of nodes and the network, and the actual core team itself may not be decentralized, and that may be very, very much like Bitcoin, with their development team. It's a very select few amount of people. And in
Well,
order
I
to
guess to bring it back to the point that I'm trying to get to or ask you guys about is the scalability of proof of work. Such
Yeah.
as Mind Your Biz. It is the natural gas runoff and
well,
coal
scroll down on this
mining.
article, scroll down past the
Okay.
graphics.
Yeah, so Rice shared this article
Where it
with
says,
us,
where does
guys.
this energy come from? It's got a pretty good breakdown of like different renewable energy sources that are being utilized around the world.
But again, my question is, yes, how many people are using Bitcoin right now? If you take the summation of all energy consumption by the population, by the masses, right, the global population, it's less than 1%. So we're having this talk about energy consumption at such a early
That's what I'm
stage
saying.
in the
Does it
use
have
case of it.
does it have the negative effect on our planet as they're saying? Because from what I was comprehending is that the entirety of the banking system utilizes a lot more electricity and carbon footprint than mining cryptocurrencies.
At its current scale, which is the banking system is utilized by a lot of the world, not all. That's what cryptos are here to come try to help, right, bridge that gap. But you get what I'm saying, Rice? Like
Yeah.
it's at a scale already now that comparing the two is like, but Bitcoin scaling up. Can we see 100 million people using Bitcoin?
yeah. I mean, as far
I
as
mean,
active wallets,
we
there
should
are.
be able to, but Gresham's law will say that bad money people will spend the bad money over the good money, and good money will push bad money out.
Yeah, let me jump into the energy, the power consumption and power generation topic, because
Okay.
I love where Rice is going with it. The game theory does factor in, and we do need
Mhm.
to pay attention to the game theory of like where this is headed. Try to think sustainably, right? 2 years out, 20 years out, if we can, if there's any way to do that. And now we've got a good like 12, almost 13 year history. Anonymity is
It's a
prized here.
headless individual in your house. That is so crazy.
They
I wish I
mean,
had
they hear me
headless
talk
people
about it.
around.
Their mom uses a Google phone with a privacy screen. We've got like Faraday bags for all the kids. They're raised by a crazy person, but yeah. So as far as the power though, power generation, nearly 60% of the current Bitcoin mining hash rate is being sourced from renewable energy. So when we talk about like, are we wasting energy or entirely waste energy? stuff that there was no incentive to recapture before. Blood, that practice of literally burning natural gas flares because it didn't make sense to capture the natural gas, that's decades old. We've got decades of waste in the energy exploration sector. This is energy that nobody saw an incentive to recapture until Bitcoin mining came along. We're actually improving the environment globally because of Bitcoin mining.
Well, that's saying, aren't they doing the same thing when it comes to like water plants? That there's excess waste or something that they're able to somehow, like with what you're saying, is utilize that to help have extra power.
Yeah, part of that has to do with peak usage versus off-peak usage, because most people don't know that electricity is messy business. It's almost like plumbing in a way, right? It costs, like there are infrastructure costs, and there's real loss in terms of transporting from the treatment facility or the generation facility, transporting that product that you're trying to get out to people's homes, out to their homes. So like with plumbing, for example, you bust a water main out to a given neighborhood and they're in trouble, right? Like we can talk to Flint, Michigan about this, right? Like they know a thing or two about how delicate it is to get a resource from the generation and treatment facility out to the homes and all the problems that can go wrong. Well, power is actually not that different, and that you have to have so much copper wiring run all the way out to an area or you don't get power. Right? Tesla's vision didn't come true. We can't beam power to homes yet. We're just not there yet. But as far as actually getting the power out, there are problems in terms of, even from a very, very clean energy source like a hydroelectric dam, being able to effectively get it out, just distribute it out to where it needs to go. Part of that problem has to do with the fact that people sleep, households sleep approximately, this core of 4 to maybe 12 hours out of the day, roughly, with overlap, where there's not super high energy usage. Lights are turned off, TVs should be turned off. Usually
we've seen a little bit more of a push on that, though, with from 2020 and in 2021, with people staying home and more, because I mean, we even seen it where the internet was kind of having issues, because we talk about scaling crypto, we talk about scaling mining, but we don't even really have an internet that's really fully scalable for the population that we have now, because we've already experienced that. I don't know, they started degrading service with videos. You couldn't get 4K, you couldn't get higher videos.
Not where I am. Yeah, not where I am, only because we had municipal fiber run clear back in 2005 where I live. So there was a municipal fiber project run there. And that's the other thing. Like, if you don't like the current state of infrastructure, go complain to your local politicians, man. Get vocal and stay local, right? Like, make that happen where you are.
Get vocal and stay local. Love
like
it.
Really.
Gotta use that one.
But I mean, these are problems that can be solved when you go and talk to your local politicians about where your tax dollars are going. These are the areas in which.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I'm not one of those like, global warming is going to be the death of us, and we're trying to get rid of, petrol cars or petrol engine,
which is a farce. We don't have enough lithium ion globally to even make the batteries.
But let's just say they continue down this path, which they are. I mean, I think
Build back
Audi
better,
or some other foreign car maker is going to stop making gas engines, diesel engines very soon. I think 2030 or something like that. It's crazy. So we're going down this path, right? And so we're going to have less usage of natural gas. So that means there's less runoff.
Well, there's something that companies
So I'm just wondering, is it a race to the bottom as far as finding those cheap or free energy ways to mine Bitcoin?
Hey, Blood, is your house okay? I got a house fire, grease fire going. I see some smoke kind of wafting in.
It's
all right.
Yes, yeah. So I
want to make sure it's sustainable over there.
A lot of businesses are doing this ESG, which is environmental social governance, and it's where they're taking in analysis and doing looking at material risk, looking at growth opportunities, and keeping things more sustainable and transparent. So you're going to see a lot of things going into. That's why with the whole Build Back Better initiative, a lot of the World Economic Forum stuff, it's all kind of pushing towards this environmentally friendly consciousness, even though, like what Seth is saying, a lot of the mining and stuff like that's being done with Bitcoin is using renewable sources and using sources of energy that we weren't using before, and being creative with those methods. So I really feel like there's a lot more opportunity of growth, and I don't really feel like, I think proof of work needs to stay, and I feel like there should be multiple algorithms. And if people don't want to support that, then they don't have to support those blockchains. It kind of goes in the elements
So
of
let me
free
ask all
speech.
of you here and people in the chat room chime in. Are you saying that Bitcoin is going to be sustainable on this path 5, 10, 50 years out? In 50 years, is Bitcoin mining going to be a thing?
50 years is a long time to look into the future. I think most governments struggle to get past about the 25-year mark. I think 30 years is about the max that most governments actually can plan for reliably. But I think in the next 20 to 30 years, yes. 50, I mean, it's anybody's guess, right? The next genuine Black Swan event, not the planned Black Swan event, but genuine Black Swan event could take place at that time. We don't know, whatever asteroid, stray asteroid.
X any black swans, right? Let's just say nothing happens. Is that a doable or realistic landscape to say, hey, Bitcoin is still here? I don't even know what terahash.
I just feel like
exahash.
technology advances. I mean, I feel like there's going to be some sort of technology, some coder that's going to come up with a method, or a group of people are just going to come up with a method that's going to be a lot more effective, and they can just add that into the Bitcoin code.
Is that
upgrade the network?
So you're saying a fork then of Bitcoin?
Not necessarily there's different kinds of forks. A soft fork doesn't really affect a network. A hard fork splits the chain, so it doesn't.
You would have to hard fork, right, Seth, to do a consensus change or upgrade. That would be.
You would, but here's the thing. This is an inconvenient truth based on the narratives of Bitcoin maxis right now. But Lightning Network is a de facto proof of stake because you're electing to lock up funds off chain.
That's true,
right? To run those
into
money
Lightning
channels.
That's very true.
They function almost like low security validator nodes in a way. It's kind of funny. I mean, you can frame it that way.
I'm glad you framed. No, I'm glad you
Well,
framed.
no, I feel like they're going to force those Lightning node validators to have money transmittal license, because they are acting in a position of a bank by allowing for that currency flow.
Oh yeah, it's a very personal way. You can absolutely enforce KYC with that sort of thing. Yep. I hear you there loud and clear. I think it is a very dangerous thing, the path of Lightning Network right now.
So because the Lightning Network would be the
target,
the least path of resistance for Bitcoin to scale and lower its carbon footprint,
but allows for more centralization and tracking and tracing at the same time.
Everything in life is give and take.
So
right?
it compromises a lot of the aspects of the Bitcoin blockchain itself, unfortunately. And that's why I'm not really a big supporter of the Lightning Network.
Yep, same. But back to that base layer, that the consensus layer or the settlement layer of Bitcoin L1, right? BTC had ticker symbol. We have to be really clear with our language these days. It's not the other Bitcoin that you think is Bitcoin, right, with the other strategy. But on that layer with proof of work, yes, it scales. So projecting into the future, Blood, if we do get, say, we're 20 years from now, we've got typical market cycles. Things kind of boom, they bust, they kind of do their sawtooth pattern up and to the right, generally is the general trend. But as we go through those bust cycles, you're going to find that proof of work is elastic, and the demand and the incentive structure is elastic enough that those who either don't have the best cost basis for their infrastructure, whether it's mining gear or electricity, or they're not renewable enough, and that affects their bottom line, that the natural economic incentives, the free market of natural economic incentives, causes it to right size itself over time. It will just level off to an equilibrium that is sustainable. It's really that simple. It has pure incentives.
The only path I see for Bitcoin to have success in 30, 40 years is we have some breakthrough in a limitless energy source that comes to at mass adoption, right? Where we're grabbing energy from, I don't know, like
the
gravitational, something along those lines.
And there's a lot that's another conversation, but there's a lot of speculation that we have ancient civilizations that were a lot more advanced than we are now and had free energy. So maybe those are some of the things that Nikolai Tesla was trying to tap into. There was some mention of him actually coming up with some things where you're basically drawing power out from the atmosphere, from the energies just of the earth itself. So I think the more in tune that we are with our planet, the more that we can utilize all of those resources. And I think that they're available to us. A lot of it, though, I feel like has been hindered because of people profiting off of like oil and these typical like power company monopolies. They didn't want free energy because I mean, we had the invention of electric cars back when petrol cars came out. So
Mercedes-Benz, am I
yeah,
correct? Created.
I'm not sure which ones, but I know there were several different electric models, and there were also a lot of different forms of free energy that were being suppressed because it just took away from corporations profiting. But now I feel like we're kind of getting out of that time period and we are progressing a little bit. So hopefully we will start seeing people start exploring these routes, being able to tap into the earth, like almost in a way like Avatar, the movie Avatar, where they just are harmonious with the planet. And I feel like if we can utilize that correctly, it would benefit us
Yeah,
immensely.
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could live on Pandora, man. I don't have long enough hair
I'm
to
not
hide my
saying
little
Pandora
my
specifically, but
prehensile tendril ponytail. Yeah, we're screwed. We can't go to Pandora.
Nope, we can't.
we'll get avatar bodies, man. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, like I would love to see where we could effectively tap into like the mycelium network and utilize it as an internet source for being able to have internet around the world. I mean, there's ways I think that we can be conducive with our planet and work better with it, and that would benefit us entirely.
I think that you're onto something, of course, Bryce. And I think that there are definitely more harmonious ways that we can, again, like just work within local, like microcosms or ecosystems or ecological, yeah, smaller systems, biomes. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. But the biome that we live closest to, there are probably ways for us to be a lot more sustainable. The one thing about the Bitcoin mining network and the other mining networks that we have is that we're pushing to the absolute limit the industrial mindset of, I wouldn't say like strip mining and or whatever, like or like monocrop planting or whatever, like stripping the soil or whatever. But it's not too far from that mentality of how do we really push the profit motive to its highest efficiency in these other systems that maybe we're not looking at, like you're saying. For example, being able to use the mycelium network as like a proper uh, call and response internet, or figuring out how to send impulses back and forth across the mycelium network. And when we do get there, who knows? Maybe we're going to strip mine the mycelium network just because of human nature. So maybe be careful
Sadly,
what you
yeah.
wish for there.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I get it.
so yeah, Bitcoin mining though, I think that I personally, I really do think that it's sustainable. I think that we will hit an equilibrium. And to your point, if people talk about legislation being a threat, Gensler loves proof of work. He's gone on record talking about how proof of work networks are kind of what, to his mind, are true blockchains, true sovereign blockchains, and true sovereign cryptocurrencies. So you have the head of the SEC saying that right now. You've got Intel that just released the company, the semiconductor maker, Intel releasing brand new highest in class, best in class efficiency Bitcoin mining chips that go onto the hash boards that go into the giant mining
Yeah, that's
ASICs.
one thing that we haven't really had is like uh, the general people in these type of technologies, these companies focusing
Semiconductors.
on specific things for crypto. I mean, ASICs weren't designed specifically for crypto. They were just able to be utilized for such. But if you can imagine some of these really intelligent individuals working for some of these software companies and computer companies coming up with more effective ways, because I've seen so much change in technology in so many ways just from the point that I was a younger child to now. I mean, I
Well,
remember the first
well,
computers and how big and clunky they are. Now we
well.
have
Let me just say
these
this:
things with computers.
ASICs are chips that have been around before crypto mining.
Right.
So
That's a
they're just specific chip like sets made for to do a specific thing. But
graphic related for gaming and stuff like that.
Well, we call them
right,
ASICs, but here's so for the audience that may not know, in semiconductor fabrication and design, you would call any whatever the core silicon is that goes onto a device that could be called the ASIC. That
ASIC,
is a way
yeah,
to call it. But when it comes to Bitcoin mining, when we refer to an ASIC, we are talking
they
about
created it,
silicon that is dedicated just
dedicated for
to
that.
doing the
SHA
SHA-256
256.
algorithm, and that's it.
Right,
It's
right.
it's it's custom built for Bitcoin
It is.
mining and no other purpose.
Is there? We know there's an arm, like there's a race to, I guess, infinity when it comes to hash power and all of that. is there wastage there as well on that side of it? Because we're always needing to get bigger and better and faster. And
No,
so these
no,
old ASICs become. I got
no.
one sitting
They don't
around
get.
here somewhere. It's just a
That's
big
because
ass
you live in.
paperweight.
But that's because you live in a market where the cost to acquire renewable energy sources doesn't make sense for you. The incentives are not aligned. You could just as easily box that up, ship it to a poor family in Venezuela that lives along the power generation route of their main rivers, their main waterways there, and has access to cheap hydroelectric or free hydroelectric. Blood, you would bless that family's life for generations to come because they can mine when you can't.
Good
I like
point.
that. That makes sense.
That's a good
And
point.
this is
That's
what
a good
all the
point.
hardware does. It moves, it flows into markets where the
But
incentives are
but
aligned.
it also gets to a point. I mean, it's designed where our products need to become obsolete because if they made things that lasted, there wouldn't be a need for so much employment, things to that effect. So things are designed to have to be replaced to keep the consumption and the buying and such going on. It's just, I mean, I think it's because you remember how things used to be made. People talk about, it used to be high quality. Cars used to be easier to work on. Everything used to be, people took more pride in what they were doing. Now it's just things are being done and need to be replaced. How often are people buying new computers, new TVs, new smartphones? So they're
Oh yeah,
constantly
no,
upgrading devices.
yeah, Rice. I've got our family. We got a Bell and Howell head unit on our little like hi-fi stereo system here. We just threw a Bluetooth receiver on it. That was our upgrade for a home stereo, a home sound system, because they don't make it like they used to.
Right.
So
Mm.
Smart.
Yeah, that's. I need to get one of those. Actually, I got some nice systems at the crib. I can slap that on.
I mean,
Uh,
then when you put the vinyl on, it sounds good still.
right. Speaking of proof of work and getting away from that or believing in it, I think we need to get away from it. Just CB's crypto diamond's vision. I don't see it. I don't see it working, Bill. I don't see it working.
So
But speaking of, go ahead.
if I can wrap my
Yeah,
comments up with a bow here.
absolutely.
So it's the funny thing. Like for me, I've got a foot in both camps, right? Because I do know, like it's undeniable. Proof of stake is here, and networks that are running proof of stake are here. So I
Right.
am
All you need to
in the
do is look
process
at
of
the
running
trend.
validators.
The trend is
Yeah,
your friend.
yeah,
The
and I am
industry
running
trend is
validators.
away from proof of work for a very good reason.
And I like
Yes,
choice though. And the last thing I'll say is there are hybrid networks that utilize both.
and there are also proof of work networks that incentivize a balance so that it's not an arms race just to have like multiple airplane hangars around the world for full of just these sort of like the monocrop of computing ASIC miners. So there are balances you can do, but personally I don't think Bitcoin mining is wasteful because it
Mm-hmm.
is the elder statesman of cryptocurrencies, because it will become the gold, still remain the gold standard of cryptocurrencies into the future. And so there is no amount that we could spend on Bitcoin mining that would ever be wasteful, because over time, with that sawtooth pattern up and to the right,
Mm-hmm.
the value of the asset being created will eventually catch up to the means of production. Eventually.
Speaking of proof of work to proof of stake, Ethereum. What we all know, Ethereum 1.0 was a proof of work blockchain. They are moving to Ethereum 2.0. That's what we've all been calling ETH2. Well, guess what? The foundation says, nah, we're not going to call it ETH2 anymore. We got a new name for it, and that name is Consensus Layer. What do you guys think about the rebranding of ETH2 to Consensus Layer? And they're basically coining ETH1, or the original Ethereum blockchain, the execution layer. Let's talk about that.
Well, to
Mind your
me,
biz.
go ahead.
Oh, just so by any other name, ETH2 as it is right now is the beacon chain. There's no other
Yes.
vestige of ETH2 as it was proposed in 2018 by Vitalik and co. So like we don't have it yet anyway. So who cares what it's called, right? Like you said earlier on, like just deliver it. And as it is right now, all of the components that will make what was previously called ETH2, are they going to get a symbol like how Prince had? Because that'd be pretty cool, actually.
They
The
do
chain
have a new
formerly known as ETH2.
symbol.
Just saying. If the chain
They
formerly
do.
known as ETH2, when it finally is delivered, it's going to be like
That's hilarious.
some of us are old enough to remember, right? So,
Yeah.
but like that was a thing. Marketing, it's a beautiful thing. But It's going to be like 2023, 2024, maybe 2025 before
I'm
this thing is
trying to
fully rolled out.
man, I've been saying this for a long time, Seth.
Yeah.
It's not, I think it's literally closer to 2024. Real talk.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
That,
And even
but what is
admittedly-
that?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, I think that is not a good thing for Ethereum holders, unless Wall Street continues to take over Ethereum and the utility or lack thereof, they kind of perceive it as just another financial.
Well, I mean,
tool
it's already
or
happened
asset.
with the Ethereum
Yeah.
Enterprise Alliance, the
Okay,
largest
speak to that.
conglomerate in the world. I mean, let me see if I can pull up the Ethereum Enterprise. Give you an idea
Okay.
of some of the
So while he
entities.
pulls that up, I mean, my whole thing is, Seth, I'm with you. I said it in the intro, like, just get the shit out. Just, all
Yeah.
this changing of, to me that shows that they're just trying to delay, extend and
Yeah, well, I
pretend.
mean-
That's what they call it.
I don't want to name names, but Cardano. I mean, like, if you don't have anything to deliver, just make announcements of announcements of announcements of announcements, and let them know that you're ready to announce something next
I
week.
thought that was a
could be an
Justin
announcement.
Sun thing. Now it's a Cardano thing.
Here's the thing, though, man. Like, if it
was
works,
a
you got to
Justin
do it.
Sun thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it works,
And then you wrap it into like philanthropic activities, that really touches your soul, and you just forget about what the hell the whole project was about in the first place.
Right? Pick a sub-Saharan
Cardano.
African country and visit.
Yep.
Do jack nothing and talk to people on the ground. They're like, oh yeah, that guy, he showed up. I guess he was here. What did he do? I don't know.
I want to
kind of
send you a
messed up.
link in the private chat for this Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, so you can, because this is the largest conglomeration that's ever been formed in the world, and some of the board members include. Let's see here. We got BNY Mellon, Consensus, Ethereum Foundation, JP Morgan, Microsoft, SD, a six company, Block Apps, Santander, Accenture. And then if you go to the very top and you click under the membership, it gives the EEA members, and it's got it all in alphabetical order. And it's just an extremely large amount of it's insane. I mean,
this is a who's who of this is a who's who of people that you would not want controlling a blockchain that you think is permissionless.
And so this is the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, all enterprise related, which makes sense that these entities would be involved with it being enterprise related. But I mean, FedEx, JP Morgan, MakerDAO, Microsoft, Mycelium, the machine consultancy, Orchid, the Open Foundation, I think Visa and MasterCard. I don't see them
FedEx
listed.
in there.
Yeah, I did see FedEx.
But the thing is, what they're saying, their reasoning behind this name change, and I honestly, I do slightly agree with them. They're saying one major problem with ETH2 branding is that it creates a broken mental model for new users of Ethereum. They intuitively think that ETH1 comes first and then ETH2 comes after, or that ETH1 ceases to exist once ETH2 exists. And
right, like Ethereum and Ethereum
I kind of
Classic.
get that because I was under that impression myself, right?
Yeah, they're saving the normies from any kind of airdrop scams that have been happening since they started talking about this. The previous mental model of ETH2, where you'd get like, it's ETH2 airdrop, and you get all these scammers that do the weird EVM airdrop scams. And they've suckered a lot of people.
Some of the counter argument to that is that they are now not allowing normies or people who are new to the space. Like, who knows what a consensus layer is? They're not going to know what a consensus layer is. So it's like, are they really helping, or are they not?
It seems like it's just as confusing because it makes it sound like they're two different layers. Whereas I'm thinking that the consensus layer will replace the execution layer, from my understanding. But
no, that's
over
what
time,
I thought as well.
Not initially.
Not initially.
So then, will it be proof of work and proof of stake for a while? Then a hybrid system?
No, that's the other problem. They're going to get rid of the security that's been working since 2014 flawlessly. Been working since 2014 so flawlessly that they had to intentionally roll back the chain, forking into Ethereum Classic right back in 2016. Well, there's been no problem. This is a pro proof of work polemic here, right? When it comes to Ethereum, right? Like, where you see, hey, this has been working perfectly well. Why would you change now?
Because they got to scale, bro. You see all the corporations.
That wasn't the
under
argument for it, though.
Huh? And their architecture for ETH2 doesn't scale it yet, not when it launches. All it does is allows for rewards to be paid out to stakers that were paid out to miners. Which, I mean, who holds the most Ethereum right now? The Ethereum Dev Foundation, the early ICO holders, and a few institutions. Wow.
Not a few institutions, you're telling but a lot of institutions.
You guys are telling me ETH2 is not the reasoning for ETH2 is not for scalability?
I think that in the long-term roadmap, what you've been saying as far as what may be potentially delivered in like 2024 or maybe 2025 and beyond, the final cherry on top is scale. You don't get that when they finally turn off proof of work.
Well, of course not. I mean, listen, really, the method of upgrading is not ideal, right? What they're trying to do is
they're supposed to have a test network that's testing a lot of this out. I'm going to be getting back in touch with the guy who put on ETH Denver, which is coming up, and he's one of the core developers on Ethereum, and he was giving me some insight a couple months ago when I met him in Miami. So I'm going to try and do a follow-up with him and try to get some more information about what's actually happening.
Essentially, what Ethereum is doing, though, guys, is trying to change parts in an engine while it's running.
That's exactly right.
That's my best.
Right, and it hasn't really been done in cryptocurrency, so we're not really sure how it's
yet.
Right, we're not sure the effects of it. It could
actually
it could mess up the entire network.
Dash did it. Dash started proof of work and then moved to a masternode model after that point. You can still it's still hybrid at this point, and they're not the only ones that did it. So this became a thing
on
when masternode
scale, though.
So you can mine Dash proof of work.
Yes,
I thought it was all just proof of stake. No, okay, that's interesting.
It hasn't been profitable in forever. And maybe I'm misspeaking. There are a couple of networks that are masternode networks that have forked from Dash though. That started proof of work and then flipped the switch basically into proof of stake. In fact, I mean, history lesson for the audience here. It was Blackcoin was the first one that tried out proof of stake 3.0, but they launched with a proof of work distribution phase to onboard people to make it fair because there's little other provably fair launch mechanism for blockchains. Because when you tell them we're going to launch proof of stake, so how do you make it fair? Well, there's an ICO. Well, that's going to if you're playing by the SEC's rules, that blocks everyone in the United States. Okay, well, maybe there's the EU's rules that blocks everybody in the EU. Maybe there's some other territory that's highly restricted with these kinds of ICOs.
Right, because with proof of work, you have to mine a certain block in order to be able to produce and mint new coins.
Yes.
Where the minting of coins with a proof of stake isn't really a natural process.
Well, the point is that participation is hampered by proof of stake if you start with the ICO as the distribution model, because you're going to have some territories locked out. If you do the airdrop model, good luck controlling bot accounts, because bot spam it's never been more sophisticated. It's so easy to just jump in and say, cool, yeah, I'm 1,000 people. Press the button. I'm 1,000 people. Give me airdrop. Centralized again, right? So now you got a few people who are particularly skilled at this. Some institutions even and hacker groups that are particularly skilled at this. So when you say we're going to launch a new proof of stake coin or network, it's airdrop, so it's fair. Well, yeah, except for these guys who come in and first off, they inflate your active wallet numbers. So everyone else thinks, oh, you've got 6,000 active wallets. Guess what? 5,000 of those are fake. And they all go to one entity. It's a big problem.
There's one Reddit user kind of echo what I just said. He said, I don't care what you call it, just fucking ship it soon.
Yeah, just get it out.
Yeah, he stated that the attempted rebrand has come too late, noting that Ethereum 2 term is used already widely amongst media and users.
The only problem with something with my big issue is like if you rush something, there could be issues. And I know that in today's day and age, it's about instant gratification. But if you want something to be done right, sometimes it takes time, and I don't feel like people can be upset and they can voice their concern, but they shouldn't lose faith in a project because they're not just changing the motor while they're driving, because it doesn't seem like a very easy task to even accomplish. So you would think people would want this to be done right and to make sure that everything is thorough so that when it does take place, there's no issues.
Yeah, no, it's the irony is right now we're in this weird in-between space where proof of stake networks have launched And even though there's like the game theory mechanics that I mentioned of bots maybe coming in and taking a bunch of initial airdrop or maybe some other problems, they've still sorted through that or lived through it long enough for these networks to survive. Some prime examples would be like you got Avalanche and you got BSC that's highly centralized or whatever, but Avalanche purports not to be. You got Solana, you got Polygon, right? It's launched as Matic. They've launched now with proof of stake and with scale. They've had some mechanisms for scale using Tendermint consensus and these other things that have been invented since Ethereum started trying to build it their own way. And they've all worked extremely well now, meaning that when Ethereum 2 launches or when the beacon chain merges, it will actually be one of the last EVM style chains to go proof of stake. And all these others will have had a 2 to 4 year head start ahead of Ethereum. It's crazy.
And it makes sense that these second layer solutions would be more of a benefit, and not have to whole rush the entirety of an ETH 2.0 or a consensus layer, whatever they want to call it. If they have these options like Polygon Matic and these other different second layer solutions that are going to be able to minimize some of these transaction fees and such. I mean, now they have the Polygon trading on Uniswap, which changes a lot of the fees. So, I mean, I think that people should, again, not really rush something. They should want something to be done the right and correct way.
So Nathan E says here, wonder if the same thing is happening with Hex airdrop. Mind your biz, you want to speak to that?
I don't want to get it. I don't want to turn this into a weird Hex like pros and cons show, because I think it's done really well for some people from an investment standpoint. But the mechanics of distribution and airdrops are highly centralized, and you know, for some people that gives them a bad feeling. For some people, I'm not going to say that it's like wrong or try to like. I'm not going to put up a weird resistance to this person's comment, but like. But it's very involved a topic, and if you don't like centralization, if you don't like centralized ownership or the idea that somebody else could control your network through centralized ownership, then you might dislike the Hex moving into Pulse ecosystem.
Right.
No, I mean, I definitely have to look a little bit more into the whole entirety of Pulse and everything in order to give a good proper answer. And I am going to be hopefully interviewing Richard Hart again, doing a follow-up, trying to find out a little bit more specifics from himself in regards to the purpose of Pulse, the plans, what's going to happen to the existing Hex tokens that are on the Ethereum blockchain. I have a lot of questions. But from the airdrop perspective, when it came to Hex, if the only way you would have been able to mint coins was from the snapshot of Bitcoin based off how many Bitcoin you held, and then you could mint your own tokens that way, I would have been fine with the project in that manner. But the address thing where you could send Ethereum to get Hex and where that Ethereum was going and where the Hex was coming from, you know, that was kind of left a sour taste in my mouth.
Well, it goes beyond that, though. Also, Rice, I agree with you, but it goes beyond the fact that it was functionally an ICO, right? It was a coin raise in the beginning, or a coin sale in the beginning.
And then this whole sacrifice thing to me sounds very fishy as well.
Well, part of that is because you have the origin address of Hex, the Hex smart contract, which during that first phase,
Richard Hart,
we went here.
Well,
we went there.
Richard
but
Hart won't say yes or no.
Yeah, that first phase, though, where people gave the Ethereum or transformed it into Hex, guess what? The smart contract transformed double that amount to give only 50% to the person who bought it with their hard-earned Ethereum, and 50% of the amount created by the smart contract back to the origin address. So guess who got an equal amount compared to everybody who paid for their Hex?
The origin address, which Richard Hart won't admit that is his or isn't his.
Well, whether he controls it directly or indirectly doesn't matter. It's painfully obvious that he has either, at least, indirect
especially
control.
when he's like all dressed up with all of his, you know, his Gucci gear, his spinning Rolexes, his 20 watches around him, and his bags, his Prada bags. And
Right. Why you hating on my man?
I'm not hating on him.
Yeah.
Richard Hart. You got Richard hate. You got Richard hate.
No, I mean, I just think it's a little much. That's all. It's a little. I mean, if you're gonna do what BitBoy did and just wear the outfit, it's kind of a fun thing to do every once in a while. Cool, but to make it your thing, it gets kind of I don't know. It just rubs me in the wrong way. Regardless, I mean, yeah, he's made a lot of people wealthy, but he's made himself wealthier in the process. And
Well,
I thought he was already wealthy.
Capitalism is a
to begin
beautiful
with.
thing,
that's
man.
capital. I was just about to say that. Mind
Yeah,
your
so I
biz.
mean, I
That's
can't hate on
capitalism.
that aspect, but I don't own any Hex. A lot of people have been pushing for me to get involved in Hex, and I didn't even take advantage of the airdrop. I mint my own or anything. Like that.
Have fun staying poor, Rice. I can't get behind that mentality, man. Right? It's one thing to just say, hey, I think you should get this thing, but man, the finger pointing and everybody telling you, oh, you got wrecked. Aren't you so miserable that you don't have all this crypto that I have?
No, I mean, overall, though, I will say on a positive note, because I don't like to just speak negatively completely. I mean, he has given away a lot of good free information, his books. He's trying to be helpful to people in a lot of ways of motivating them, but there is a lot of self-motivation involved.
It's let's just call it what it is. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. This is just what it is. It's a disorder. Okay. Richard Hart is a narcissist.
But he's a narcissist that people love to hate. So is it a character?
And hate to love.
Yeah, right. So here's the thing. I'm not gonna I'm gonna go back to my statement from before.
Because I still look at
try to give
Richard
people
Hart
a straw man
to
fight against when they say that we're all haters. Because I don't hate Richard Hart.
I do look at Richard Hart as being a good guy of crypto, though. I don't look at him as being one of the negative entities. Like I look at Blockstream as being negative. I look at
I don't look at him as a Craig Wrong.
Right. Yeah. A fake Toshi.
I don't. So I don't have any hate on him or anything like that. I just simply.
I don't even know how we got onto this. So what was the next article?
Yeah, the next article is Richard Hart. No, I'm sorry.
Richard Hart is dead.
No,
Richard.
And why is Mark Zuckerberg announcing Richard Hart's death?
Oh, don't say that. Mark Zuckerberg's DM is dead. It used to be called Libra. So it's really like Libra, also known as DM, that Facebook, also known as Meta, said is dead. I mean, all these name changes. Good God Almighty, what is going on? What is your thought on this DM project, aka Libra project, being dead on arrival? Not even on arrival. It never made it to the hospital.
I think
what happened here?
The stir that they caused when they initially were talking about launching this and doing it as a basket of different currencies, which is basically mocking or copying, forking the idea of the IMF's SDR. I mean, that definitely became a threat to the US dollar, and there was a centralized entity to attack for it. Then I think they started, because they had outside people come in and work with the project. And then there was a separation, as if there was an outsourced company that was supposed to be doing the technology, the crypto, the blockchain for Facebook. And then I just think it just lost traction. I don't think people cared about it. And I think probably Facebook has more plans in the future to do something with a currency that's going to work for their metaverse, which would be more beneficial to them and fly a lot more under the radar versus something that could be looked at as a security offering or a threat to the US dollar.
So
have that centralized
this comment
entity.
Here by Nate Singleton, this sums it up to me. He says, so Zuck plans to create the stablecoin that is a competitor to the US dollar. Congress says no, and then plan B is to create the competitor to the SDR. That's just bound to fail, right? Right, Seth?
Yeah, but well, here's the thing, though. These large corporations, they do know what they're doing. So what they're doing is they're prepping from a regulatory approach. It's a heat check, exactly. Right?
And they're also getting people prepared for the idea. They're just getting people used to it too. That it's going to come out. Right.
The high pressure salesperson builds on the highly motivated institution at that level. Like you said just a second ago, Blood. They do a heat check, and they push way beyond where they could get a yes, so they can negotiate back to where they know they will get a yes. So they've been asking for the moon because they actually just want to get up off the ground when it comes to cryptocurrencies and blockchain. I think that their real goal the entire time has just been something that helps to improve the hegemony of the Facebook offering and the platform across Instagram. And so, sure, $1 SDR.
I kind of disagree with you, bro.
That's okay.
I mean, I know,
okay.
I knew where you were going.
Also probably
Meta is the expression of it. Though.
I knew where you were going with that, as far as them that being a heat check. I knew that's where you're going with it. I don't think it was. I think we're giving them too much credit. I literally think, no, seriously, I literally think they thought they could just come out with their own coin.
Well, because
And
corporations are kind of controlling things. I mean,
exactly,
that's
they
what's
control
happening.
media.
So
why not control currency?
Right. So I just think it was one of those moves that anybody who's ever tried to be a threat to the US dollar or the financial system does not make it very far at all, which is one of the reasons
That's
why
right.
the group or individual Satoshi Nakamoto is unidentified and anonymous. Because when I interviewed Bernard von Nothaus, the guy that created the Liberty dollar back in the late 90s, I mean, he was a centralized figure that they could go after. He was smart about some of the things that he did, but the group like Satoshi could learn from the benefits of being anonymous in those senses, because otherwise they're going to come for you, and it's not going to be pretty. And until the corporations 100% had the government in its pocket, and that's when you're going to start seeing kind of like idiocracy, where you'll start seeing them having Mountain Dew logos on their side of their suit, or sponsored by Pfizer on the back of their blazer or something.
We should be so lucky to see them required to list their sponsorships. They don't always. It's not always apparent, right? I mean, good grief. Right now, if Pelosi could say sponsored by insider trading, geez.
And speaking of
that lady owns way too much.
Without getting too deep into that, speaking about that, I had heard that there were a couple different Fed chairmen that were forced to step down because of insider trading. But it's like, is that the sacrificial lamb to try to appease people? Because
they were?
Yeah, you can look into this. There are a couple different of the chair people and because there's now going to be a lot more chairs up, empty seats. So they're going to be filling.
The Fed or Senate?
With the Fed, because that's why some people are saying that even by the time we come to March, we could be looking at a different Fed with some of the new people that will be coming into the organization. There's a lot of talk that they're not even going to do any of these rate hikes. It was just them trying to show face, but they know that if they do the rate hikes, they're going to destroy this entire system. I mean, ultimately, it's going to bring everything down.
Yeah, Blood, I apologize. You're bringing some quotes onto the screen that I know we moved past that topic, and I'm struggling to not respond to it because
you can go back, please, because I
got the backhand for this person. Okay, here's all my love from the back of my hand.
Oh man,
Which
one you want me to put up, MYB?
The Origin is never sold. Vitalik sells the top of every bull cycle. Yeah, he does so transparently on a transparent ledger. You know what the Origin does instead of selling? It maintains ownership of all of those hex coins, but instead drops them over into the Pulse SAC address, but still maintains full ownership of all of it. So it sells, but it still keeps all the coins. Shut your damn mouth.
Boom.
You're being a useful idiot.
What you got to say about that, Grit Games?
Yeah, no, that's a narrative. That's a narrative.
I might have to bring up the...
They sold billions of dollars worth in order to maintain
number,
control of the Pulse chain.
Open the lines up.
It would be worth doing an episode on Hex, talking about Hex, Pulse, Pulse.
Let's do that.
Pulse X, which looks like Pulse X.
Yeah, that actually is brilliant. Pulse X.
That's what it looks like.
Marketing brilliance.
The rate hikes don't have to come.
I mean, is he the Elon Musk of crypto? I mean, all the Tesla models were supposed to spell sexy. Did you know that?
Yeah.
A little tidbit for you people out there.
Yeah, the Model S.
They couldn't get the E. Someone stole the E, and that's why they had to call it the Model 3. But it was supposed to be Model E.
Well, it's an S3XY.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
I
don't know, man.
If sex sells, though, I mean, it's right there, right? Between the PUL and the com. Sex.com.
In between the pull and the com.
Wow.
Too bad they don't have a .cum, right?
Right.
Just had to add that in there.
Oh man. So what was the other one though? We had this, I don't know if this guy was being sarcastic. I think he was. Yes, there's no way Richard would scam again.
What I will say is,
what did he scam on the first time?
Well, the whole origin address thing was questionable, but what Richard was able to do is basically cover his ass when it comes to regulatory issues with the SEC and such. I don't believe that he's going to have any issues. They're not going to be able to come after him in any capacity.
Yeah, and again, like I'm just gonna say it. I actually
He's
don't have any
super
hate for Richard Heart.
intelligent. I
Exactly,
just
and
don't
he's a
support.
master at debate.
I don't own and support the tokens and the blockchains. I'd like to learn more, and I'm going to be open minded and try to learn some more about it. But ultimately, I don't think that he's malicious.
You know what the issue I have, and it doesn't come from all Hexians, because I got some
It's kind of cult
followers
like
that are.
though.
It's very cult. No, it's
Absolutely
not kind of.
called like.
It's very
Well,
cult like.
It's almost
so-
worse than the BSV people
Right.
with Craig
So
Wright.
when I see stuff like that, because I'm a crypto OG, it's going to listen. It's going to. It may end badly.
But like
When
Richard
you have
said,
that much conviction for
and this
something
makes
where it
sense.
becomes a religion almost, and you have ad hominems, everyone's
Right.
attacking you, you're dumb,
Yeah.
hating, you're this and that, go, you stay poor
It's the
and all that stuff.
tribalism of people.
Yeah, Blood. Can I just interject there real fast?
Yeah.
People say like, "Oh, you're hating on us Hexians, bruh." I own it, and I sacked for Pulse, but I use crypto. I don't let it use me.
Right. Right. No,
I
that's a
don't.
good
Yeah, I don't
point.
drink the Kool-Aid.
Good point. So we got
Right.
Truth Behind the Lies says Jerome Powell was busted for insider trading, and he's still. Yeah, exactly.
Right, but it's illegal for like let's say a football player to bet on his team. You can't do like bets like that from a sporting perspective. Why are they allowing it on a political perspective when these people are taking advantage? Like Nancy Pelosi in particular, I mean, she's regulating the industries that she's able to. Her and her husband have been investing their money into, and they say that they should be allowed to do that. When you're privy to certain information, you're not privy to take advantage of that information, and I believe it's a crime, and these people should be paying for it. I mean, I've said a couple times on a couple different shows. I mean, they need to be arrested. Period. I wouldn't call it treason, but I would definitely call it corruption and insider trading. And it should be considered. It should be illegal, which I thought it was, and there should be consequences because there
I
are
agree.
consequences for most normal people. So these politicians need to have consequences for their actions.
Well, why aren't there term limits too for some of these people? Right? I mean, why do we have this lady who is like she's halfway to the Crypt Keeper and like whatever Krusty the Clown with that makeup? Like, why is she still in office?
Because that's what people should really focus on. The positions that don't have term limits are the positions of power.
Well, there's an
Not your
organization.
presidents, not your.
There's
Go
an
ahead,
organization called Convention of States that is trying to call for use Article 5 from the Constitution to call for a state convention to gather the states, and you have, I think, 35 states. I can't remember the exact number. A certain number of states to be able to make changes to the Constitution, and the idea was to limit the federal government's power, add term limits to some of these individuals that don't have term limits. So if people want to look into and support the project, it's Convention of States. You can go ahead and just look it up. It might be conventionofstates.org or .com. But again, just using Article 5 of the Constitution to try to call for a state constitutional gathering, which is something that's never been done, but we have the ability to do so. And the states can make changes limiting the federal government's power. That or people can get involved with politics, like what Seth was saying earlier, get vocal and stay local, write to your politicians, get involved, or run for office yourself.
Yeah, I am about the local municipalities and getting involved there. That's where the change will come. At least that's where you'll see the biggest change for yourself. You
got some more
definitely
scammers in the chat.
I see here. So the last article, well, one of the last ones, the main article or subject for tonight, Off the Chain episode 68. I want to talk to you guys about this getting paid in Bitcoin. This is a big debate. I've seen some of my peers in the space who are very big proponents of Bitcoin, really advocate for people getting paid in Bitcoin, and they think there's nothing wrong with that. Here's a situation or a scenario. Even when this came out, a lot of people on crypto Twitter were trying to spin it. We're trying to spin it in a positive light, but this is something that people should be aware of and understand at this juncture. The way the tax bills and legislation is set up in America, this could possibly be an issue for you. So what I'm talking about here, and the link is in the description of this video, so you guys can check it out for yourselves. But my man Odell Beckham Jr. hit with a massive tax bill, and it's all because of a situation where he came out and said he wanted his whole salary paid in Bitcoin, and tax experts are saying that the issue is when you actually take that salary, even if it's paid out over monthly or amortized over the full year, you still have to claim it at that current market rate.
But they're
And that
saying
was
to
at
do it, claim it
69.
like it's money. And the IRS doesn't even identify cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, as being money or currency. They look at it as property. So if I was getting paid in corn, how would that work?
Well, when
You
you're
know, am I
getting
going to have to
paid,
pay a
it's
portion of my
consideration.
corn? Am I going to have to pay a portion of my corn in taxes?
Maybe if you were paid in corn contracts and commodities, right? So like you just might like, but the bearer asset itself, corn rather, maybe not, but it's a little bit different depending on how you're actually compensated, right? So like property is one thing, but when you earn that instead of wages or instead of payment, it becomes consideration, right?
Right.
Air quotes. So even
Now,
if it's not,
I would imagine too, like with Beckham Jr. situation, that one, he's probably got other forms of income coming in, so that this is
It
not his.
doesn't, but the thing is, Rice, that doesn't matter. It's
The
not
tax,
about
the
if it.
tax issues, it's screwy. I'm not a big fan of
Yeah,
like
that's
being
what I'm
taxed,
talking.
and
That's what I'm
so
focusing
you
on here.
would have had to have sold it then
Right,
in order
right.
to, in order to be able to.
Because
So
that's
what's the
one of the
benefit then of having the Bitcoin in the first place if you're going to have to turn right around and sell it to pay taxes?
exactly. So the thing is, what I'm saying here is, and that was one of the other counter arguments on Twitter. Is like, well, he got paid more than that by Cash App for doing the marketing ploy or campaign for this. That you're deflecting. Okay, that's not the point. Most people aren't going to be in that position,
And it's a
right?
capital
So
loss. Maybe he needs some capital losses on his, for his taxes as well. I mean, it could be a strategy on his part for doing
ain't
this.
no damn strategy, bro. Come on now.
it could be. I'm actually gonna side with Rice on this. It very well could be. Since you bring up the Cash App, the sponsorship deal, it very well could be that whoever was advising him at the time, whoever he's got doing his taxes, whoever he's got working on his estate, that they could have just said like, hey, you got so much coming in from endorsements and from sponsorships. Here's all your fiat farming over here, and yeah, you're gonna take a hit, maybe take a hit on this Bitcoin, but you're fine because your finance is still taken care of over here.
There is that possibility. I mean, I try to think outside the box when it comes to stuff like that. Now at the same time, like I try to make sure that when I'm getting paid, I'm doing multiple ways of doing it. So that way I have fiat, I have crypto. I don't know that I would take a job and get paid 100% in cryptocurrency unless it was getting paid in stable coins, which gives me the opportunity to invest those stable coins however I choose each pay period.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I know a couple people who work in crypto, and a couple of them, not all of them, but I'll say more than an average sampling of these people who I know who work and get paid natively in crypto because of the potential for multiples on those gains over time from bear to bull. A couple of them are millionaires, man. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's totally put them in a position that typical wage earning power never could have, not in 5 lifetimes. So it's like on the one hand, like, yeah, right. Huge risk, but potentially massive reward.
See, I disagree. I think that's a normalcy bias that we make that statement. It's a true statement today, right? That's 13 years into this. What about the next 13 years? What if it doesn't pan out that direction? To be paid in such a volatile asset or currency, money, whatever you want to call it. We can get into the weeds when it comes to that, but I don't know, man. I just don't think taking your whole check in Bitcoin and any other volatile asset, I mean, he's in a position like you said, maybe it doesn't matter to him, but you have other
I
people that
mean,
may try to follow in his footsteps.
what would be beneficial is if people were utilizing and getting paid in cryptocurrencies is that it's not the US dollar and therefore it's not taxable. I would love that idea. and then I would have no problem, obviously, getting paid in cryptocurrency.
Of course not.
No.
You know, that's
But it's like
not
even
the case, right?
I just don't, when the IRS doesn't recognize it as a form of currency and they're recognizing it as property, then I try to think about, well, what if this guy got paid in property? What if he got paid in a bunch of couches? That's property. So it just is really it just we need to abolish the IRS, and this wouldn't be a problem.
Agreed.
I mean,
That would just be the solution to it all. If anybody wants to take this idea for what it's worth, watch Fight Club, be inspired by Project Mayhem, and change the world.
Thanks,
if it
Tyler.
were only that simple, Rice. Thank you.
Yeah.
This guy says pro athletes are taxed in every state they play in. That is true for the NFL for sure. Not so much, I don't think, in like the NBA, some other leagues, but
That's weird.
That's so
that,
dumb.
that adds an addition.
Well, that's why
games?
they have uniform, like the uniform commercial code is to have everything the same in each state so that it doesn't differ like that. So it doesn't make sense that you would be taxed in every state you play in.
It would make more sense that you'd get taxed by the for the state where the team is owned, and then
Right.
I mean, like, or maybe there's some pro rata, right? Like for some of the states.
I don't know
around.
why and how the NFL ended up in that situation, but I do know a few NFL players, and that is how they're taxed. Every game they're taxed in whatever city they or state, whatever they play in. Now the NFL, the
That's
NHL,
so weird though, because then how do
and
you file
NBA
your
players
state taxes? Are
don't
they
have that
filing?
issue.
Would they have to file individually for every state that they played in?
Okay,
So that's kind of weird.
Bob Below is saying NBA players are taxed in every city too. I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, this is starting to make sense as far as like some of the subsidies that the subsidies that go into these cities and these states and stuff, and why so many cities like fight to have an arena or something like
right
in their
Yeah,
spot.
but I thought it was to bring business, to bring tourists to where you're at, to bring that additional income to your city. That would be the benefit of having a team.
You're right, but now there's one more income stream.
Yeah, how are we going to get paid? How are we? Yeah, that is crazy, man. That's how everything is.
Yeah, man. So we'll see what happens here. And so what's your conclusion with this? Would you guys
look at
suggest people be
Matthias?
paid?
Matthias filed taxes in 40 states from his LLC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he must have an internet company. He must sell online.
Oh, I'm definitely not a tax expert, my friend. I can 100% assess that. That's why I just say in the Fed, abolish it. Why do I want to learn about something I have no interest in participating in?
Yeah.
Oh man. So what would you say, like, in conclusion to this situation with? And I want to actually read a part of this article because it's pretty interesting. So a business analyst and senior executive said that OBJ's decision to make or take his full salary in Bitcoin may have not been the brightest idea. He said that by OBJ doing that entire salary in Bitcoin, it is now worth only $413,000 compared to the $750 previously. Once both federal and state taxes are accounted for at a cumulative rate of 50%, which sounds about right for his tax bracket, Odell will only have earned $35,000 over the past 2.5 months, which equates to just one Bitcoin roughly. That is a far cry from the $90,000 he would have received if he had taken his salary in fiat. And so,
I mean, the big takeaway from this is the 50% of your money being paid in taxes. I mean, that is just ridiculous.
Well, he's a high tax bracket, and in addition to that, this would be, I guess, considered a gift, right? Like this would be taxed at the gift tax rate, if I'm not mistaken.
If it's income, how does that? If it's income, why would it be taxed as a gift rate? Shouldn't it be taxed as income based off the value at the time of receiving it?
It's not money. You can't.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate too much on exactly what the tax implications are there for this person, because I think he breathes rare air. I think he's got access to resources and professionals that far outstrip what we're going to typically.
There you go, Voice Crypto. Should have taken it in fiat and bought Bitcoin. There you go.
Yeah, except that he got the cash deal from Cash App too. So we don't know what his book's like. That's the thing. He could have had a separate LLC entirely designed just for marketing himself that has nothing to do with his earnings as a professional athlete. So we don't know how this guy rolls. No idea. So I don't want to speculate too much on it. But what I will say is that for the average person,
Pablo Boat, man, I agree with you. Slavery ain't dead. Sorry.
yeah. No, I agree. Wage slavery ain't dead.
Slavery.
So I think that the average person, like applying this equation to the average person, I think if the average person does have the opportunity to accept cryptocurrency as a larger percentage of their salary, they should absolutely weigh the pros and cons, and they should not be quick to just say no because of what happened to this guy. I think there may be for some people the opportunity, if they earn as opposed to a fiat wage, if they earn in an investment vehicle like Bitcoin, right? That we all agree is not it's not going to give the same multiples as other assets in this space. But even if it's just Bitcoin, I think that gives them an opportunity to get their money to potentially work for them in a way that fiat just never can until you do the extra curriculars, right? Of like,
Right,
all right,
but
now I've got
going
to buy all these
100%,
stocks and whatever else.
100% in like that, I think it was a mistake. I mean, taking a percentage, maybe doing 25% on the high end, 10%, and that gives you that dollar cost average, and it gives you, you can save on a long term with that, and then you're not really looking at, from a tax perspective, you're not looking at that higher of paying in your taxes. So
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with Nate on this one. No one should no need for anyone to get paid in Bitcoin. I disagree with that part. I'm just saying, like, for your salary to have it all 100% in Bitcoin. I don't know. I just think
I'll
it's a
say one
little-
exception that I think I would advocate for one particular part of the American population to get paid 100% in Bitcoin, and that is legally involved individuals, right? Folks who are serving hard time. I think that we absolutely should be paying prison wages in Bitcoin. They should be denominated in satoshis, whatever, because they're currently earning like pennies on the dollar, literally, for their hour's wage, and they have no usable skills when they get out. Generally speaking, recidivism is terrible in our prison system. We might actually make a difference in prison reform if we started paying 100% in Bitcoin instead of pennies.
That's a good. I like that. I really do.
I'm just saying, like, that's
I
a
like
different
that
problem, I know, but like that for me, I don't know why that one gets me fired up, but like the prison industrial complex, it really bothers me
Yeah,
that
same here.
we've
Same here.
incarcerated so many people,
well,
and
yeah,
we've
it's a
totally taken them out of
for-profit
circulation.
system
It
that's
really,
designed to
yeah. I'm a
keep people
melanated
trapped.
human being, so that really gets at me. So I like that idea, and I didn't even think about
I
that
like
one.
the idea that if there's no harm being caused, if there's no victim, there is no crime.
Yeah, but in the meantime, even if there is a victim and we are talking about potentially reforming some of these people who are currently incarcerated, then as things are right now, our track record in the United States is pretty bad at turning these people back out and then making them productive members of society because they largely have nothing to look forward to. They don't have skills. They've got a record. They're largely unemployable.
Well, they
So
technically they need to keep a certain amount of population in the prison systems, and they want that to be like a family thing. That's why you're seeing, like, especially from a poverty hood perspective, black guys are getting arrested. Their kids are growing up without a father, following in the footsteps of what they grew up in, and just kind of stay in this perpetuated system. That's why you're not seeing a lot of things being done in those areas to try to improve the education,
I hear you, but
opportunities
this
and
is not. But I
such.
mean, this is not the 1960s, and the FBI can drop that agenda. That's all I'm saying. We can move on. We can just move
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Like, let's fix it.
fix
It's
it.
time.
No, it is. It's time to change a whole lot of shit in this world.
So just to jump back a little bit here, because I want to drive this point home. I really agree with Mr. Koch here, or Cock. I don't know. I think it's Koch.
It's Coke. Get it
It's
right.
Coke.
Well,
It
from
may
what I
be
was
Coke.
understanding,
It
if you
actually may be Coke. Yeah, having 100% of your salary, paid in 100% of your salary in Bitcoin will result in your income taxed at short-term capital gain rates.
if you're getting paid, you're not making an investment. The only capital gains I feel like should come into play is if you're getting paid for something, or if you're making an investment into something.
Yeah,
If you're
Rice. You know what's? Sorry, I'm sorry for the interruption.
which is why this football player was supposed to be taxed on the amount of Bitcoin he received at the time of receiving it.
Yeah. Rice, what I think is particularly scary, because I know you've talked to people who do this for a living. What's particularly scary is people who are qualified in this space, CPAs who are maybe starting to dabble into cryptocurrency taxes. Is that I'm sure you've discovered this. if you ask 5 people, you get 5 different answers.
Right.
And a lot of them still give you the caveat of like, yeah, but I'm not an expert yet because there's not precedent. So we don't know.
Right.
We
It's
don't
all
know. Like
right.
professionals don't know.
And even the government can't agree upon what they define it as. So it's like if they can't agree, then I'm just gonna pretend like, just okay, cool. You don't agree, then I'm just not gonna, what's mine is mine. That's my attitude.
There you have it. There you have it. One last thing I want to touch on, guys, was that article I sent you regarding like this was speaking of like this was some racist ass shit that I read in this article. I mean, and I love to get your feedback on this. I can't stand this guy. Your boy, Nobel Prize winning Paul Krugman. I can't stand this guy. This guy, you know what this guy said? He had the audacity to say that people who invest in cryptos are pretty much like non-white. He says here 44% of crypto investors are non-white, while 55% have not completed a college degree. So he's basically saying like a lot of people are uneducated, non-white individuals. Therefore, cryptos are not going to do well in the, I guess, kind of this next subprime kind of issue we have in, traditional markets. I was kind
It's
of taken
crazy
back
because I've heard
by
the
this
argument.
comment.
I've heard the argument that Bitcoin that cryptocurrencies in general could suck up a lot of this inflation, if that makes any sense, by having money going into the crypto markets like it is, taking off stress from the system in a way.
Yeah, it's a second layer of financial policy.
I disagree simply because you have to take in, like, that sounds good, all things equal, but because our monetary system is so complex, a higher inflation rate pulls back employment, right? Invest like capital. Businesses will start investing capital less than they did the day before, the higher the inflation goes.
Right.
That means more layoffs. So it's like it's a cascading effect where I don't think it will end. It actually, inflation will, at this point where we are with interest rates so low and we printed so much money to service that debt as all those interest
Well,
rates
another
get
funny
higher.
thing
It's not going to look good for the economy,
with them
i.e.,
talking about
selling Bitcoin and all the others.
44% of crypto investors are non-white, while 55% have not completed college. One of the things that's different about cryptocurrency and investing in crypto is it doesn't have that barrier that the stock markets have. So it's a lot easier for the everyday individual to be able to get involved in cryptocurrencies versus buying stocks. It's pretty easy to set up a Coinbase account. I mean, now you can buy like some stocks on like Robinhood and things like that, but generally these things weren't available to the general public. So cryptocurrencies was kind of a game changer, which was giving the everyday average individual a chance to get involved in a financial market and something that could take powers away from banks.
In this
Yeah,
article,
and I don't think that matches up. If I apologize for that,
No, go
that
ahead.
doesn't match up with the subprime mortgage
No,
conditions. Like we're old enough to remember. It doesn't, just because the barrier to entry is low doesn't mean that it was a risky barrier to entry for creditors to extend that asset.
So
right. There's
Like
no
Bitcoin
comparison.
was bought.
There's no
that's where
comparison with that.
I was going to try to clarify really what Krugman was trying to draw, where he was trying to draw parallels here is essentially that he was saying that, homeowners at that point didn't understand the borrowing risk associated with buying a home, and
They
ultimately
didn't
led to the
understand the
housing
trick
bubble.
that was being portrayed
So he's
put
trying,
upon them for buying a home when they didn't have income or good credit. I mean, those
Well, he's
ninja
also
loans, the no income, no credit, no job, they were getting
Yeah.
stated income, yeah.
I mean,
No
what
doc
the
loans.
banks were doing was criminal, but it was absolutely irresponsible of the individuals not to fact check what was going on, because when something sounds too good to be true, it's generally 100% too good to be true.
Yeah, and what he's avoiding saying, right, by throwing the blame over on cryptocurrency investing, what he's avoided saying is that we went back into subprime, a subprime lending crisis, but we just changed the asset that was being lent out for, right? So while it wasn't mortgages in the years following, the decade following the recovery from that financial collapse, there were so many subprime auto loans. So lenders were still trying to give out cheap money as fast as they could, like cheap loans as fast as they could, junk loans as fast as they could. They just said like, oh, well, crap, we can't give you $200,000 now. How about 20K? How about 50K? Can we do that? Cool, buy a car. Like it's the same old crap.
It is.
And
yeah.
he won't talk
And
about
to-
that.
and
He
to-
wants to
and
make
to-
crypto the bad guy.
And to Matthias' point, like, how the hell do they know what if a Bitcoin holder is black or white?
Isn't that the first question? Isn't that the first question in every wallet that you start?
Like,
The address starts.
Isn't that right above your recovery phrase? Are you black or white, or other?
Exactly. Like I don't even know where he. Classic Paul Krugman, man. This guy is an idiot. This is the same guy that said. Didn't he say like the internet would never be?
But here's the thing: like half the people that are winning
anything.
some sort of Nobel Prize seem to be idiots, especially when it comes to on the economic element. But it doesn't seem to be the best of humans that are doing something great to change the world. This guy's an ass. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I agree, man. So,
but it's just more for the everyday person who is kind of skeptical about things like Bitcoin and crypto, and they remember the crash of 2008, and you're seeing media outlets reporting things like this. It could immediately make somebody want to not be involved with cryptocurrencies because they believe what the media is saying. So it's just more ways of trying to keep people out of cryptocurrency, in my opinion, and just creating that FUD environment. Because
it is, there's.
Should we thank him for suppressing price?
Say that again.
Should we thank Paul for suppressing price for us? Help us get some better entry points?
No. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than him, in my opinion. And I was gonna say this to that point. Like, I still want people to be very careful in this crypto space because, and I've been trying to drive this home for a very long time now, over a year and a half. Cryptos, Bitcoin, all your altcoins or whatever, are risk on assets. So you have to pay very close attention to what is going on in the traditional markets, because believe me, if we roll over in the equities markets, in the bond markets, if Jerome Powell can't control this game any longer, your crypto portfolio will get slaughtered.
Everything.
Hear me. This is Crypto Diamond speaking. I know crypto. I'm pro crypto. My guys are pro crypto, but just be conscious of that. Be diligent. Be nimble, please.
Well, another news
put all
piece,
your eggs in one basket.
We
one
didn't
asset
mention
class.
this, but the IMF is, talking to El Salvador, like, hey, you need to quit having Bitcoin as your legal tender. So I could see an institution like the IMF having a full-on assault on Bitcoin because of nations like El Salvador. So, I mean, people also need to take those things in consideration as well. I mean, because it is possible that they can keep this economic system afloat for a little bit of time. But this battle of countries and states making Bitcoin legal tender, where the IMF does not want to see that take place, and how powerful the IMF is, that's going to be one of the things people need to pay a lot of attention to.
Yeah, I hear you. And the thing is, I'm not saying that they won't continue to try to prop this up, Rice. They will. I just think they're going to act like they're removing the juice for 6 to 7 months now. But in that interim, in that period, these markets are going to look horrible. They're going to roll back. And so people just have, in this period, this next 6 to 7 months, 8 months, people need to be careful. On the other side, when they capitulate and they start printing again, I think possibly you'll see all the asset classes start heading higher again. But there is a risky period we're coming into, in my opinion, and that won't change until the Fed changes their decision.
Which I'm not really sure that they can. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It is
going to be interesting. Yep, very true.
I mean, they've raised. I was trying to figure out what year it was. I think they did 4 rate hikes in 1 year. That was all 0.25%. So I mean, when the markets are hearing about this, I mean, for one, they should be pricing these things in advance. And two, I'm not really sure why 0.25 basis points is going to really make that big of an effect. It doesn't seem like it would.
Symbolic. No, it's symbolic.
So it's like people getting scared of a monster under the bed, knowing that the monster is just something that they could stomp on and kill.
No, it's very symbolic. If they're really about that life, they'll do 50 basis points, but they won't. They're gonna, I don't know. They may try 50. They said they're gonna do six raises. We'll see. I
I
don't
thought
think they're gonna get
4.
through.
They
No,
did say 6. Was it 6
yeah,
in
but
2022?
I believe.
And then the other thing people
so.
are going to take in consideration is this. I mean, okay, so you've got election year. This is an election year. Democrats are having a lot of problems. So, when things are going in a bad economic situation, that makes the party that's got a lot of dominance look bad. So we could see some things being put off because of the election year. And then we have the presidential election going to be 2 years after that. So, it's gonna be real. That's one of the reasons why they're pushing for a CBDC, because they feel as if they can get a hold of this inflation better if if the entire system was digital. And that's obviously where they're trying to head things at, because they want to get rid of cash and they want more tracking and tracing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You want to chime on that, MYBZ?
This is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, guys. So as far as like being properly studied on rate hikes and the effects, like I just have to admit a bit of ignorance here. So I don't want to comment.
This guy didn't know something, man. Finally, Rice. Finally.
Seth is a wealth of information, man.
He is, man. This guy knows.
I know enough to know that I need to admit when I don't know something. So.
That's the smart person in the room. There you go.
I'm definitely not super well versed when it comes to the rate hike situation. I go based off of a lot of information and people that I follow, that I respect their opinions of, that I've fact checked over the years. But there's a lot of smart individuals that I try to pay attention to as well.
For sure.
Got stuck there. That was kind of an awkward moment.
I know. I was trying to type on the background.
I was just like, it's quiet. It's just
cut out real quick.
Power of the pause. You used it.
People don't realize how hard it is to like navigate
running the streams. Yeah.
Running the streams. Listen, it takes some skill. Listen, I'm trying to tell you guys.
Now, but what I will say,
man, we're pros.
I will say that like it is so much better than trying to do this with OBS or just running straight off of Zoom. So shout out to StreamYard, and the fact that it's web based. So if like you happen to lose your internet for whatever reason, CB, the stream would still be going on, and you could pop in on your phone and be able to get yourself back in on the stream.
I mean, I was very reluctant to do this StreamYard thing. Because I like even more control over my streams. Like
I wish there was more control over the layout, where you can make full screen with the screen shares, where you don't see anything in the background. I would like to make some improvements, but they've made a lot of improvements since they started, and I would only see it getting better. They added, I don't know if you saw, but they added music.
Yes, I did see that. They need to add a way for me to have call-in guests, like callers.
Yeah. Because all they have is
when I do my live streams, when I have callers, I have to use my XSplit OBS and route it in.
Well, I mean, you could essentially give people the invite link in the video description and just tell people not to do video if you just want audio.
Well, there are a bunch of shows though that wind up using a separate laptop, and then they just run Discord on it.
Mm-hmm.
They just let people into a shared, like a sort of like the waiting room for the call-in show in Discord, and they just use Discord permissions to pull them on stage, so to speak, for voice. Then they have their own laptop that's just tied into whatever. It could be OBS, could be this.
Yeah, but I want that like OG original, like I'm just gonna pick up my phone and call in type feel. I love those. Oh
my gosh.
So.
I'd be afraid in today's world, man. I really would.
I'm not afraid. That's the thing. I love it, man. Bring it on. I have
because we've had the best troll story ever, by allowing that to take place. So some of the best entertainment comes out of things like that.
I might have to rebroadcast that one, bro. I got to go find
a double spin.
Episode it is. Yeah, I'm double spin that one. That's it, man, for today. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Yeah. Let's get Rice.
Thanks
up
for
there. Where can they find you, Rice?
RiceTVx everywhere, YouTube. Also, I encourage people to check out my backup, my side channel, RiceTVx2, just in case something ever happens to RiceTVx. And then you can go to my website, RiceTVx.com, sign up for my mailing list. all my other social media information is there. And of course, you can follow me here on Twitter.
Mind your biz.
You know, I've got a little anomaly on Mind Your Biz. I am Mind Your Biz everywhere except Twitter, because that handle was taken by somebody who got perma-banned. So I can't get it.
Damn.
But it's a mindyour_biz on Twitter, Mind Your Biz everywhere else, or just right here, mindyour.biz/links. And that's like my link tree to everywhere else.
Cool. That sounds good, man. Well, everyone, we appreciate you tuning in.
Make sure you smash that like button.
About an hour, and smash that like button for sure. Kept it to about an hour and a half.
That's great.
More. All right. Good.
That's good.
Make sure.
I ended up picking up, because I did the live stream from 1 to 3 today. Did this with you today from 4 to almost 6, and I agreed to do something at 9 o'clock. So I want to take a little breather before I do something else.
Man, Rice going hard.
He's going hard. What do you have coming up on your channel that you want people to tune in on?
Nothing in particular right now. I mean, I'm just kind of planning my week out. I have no videos on deck, nothing. I'm probably going to be doing a lot more solo videos this week. There's a couple of different subjects I want to talk about. This fourth turning, the idea of a cyclical nature that happens within our species, and it kind of talks about every 4 generations there's a cycle that involves war, revolution type situations. And with all the talk about second civil war, there's a lot of interesting things happening in the stars, a lot of alignments that were taking place back when we were having the Revolutionary War time period. So it's real interesting to think about what's happening in history. So I've been looking into stuff like that. Want to talk about this ESG stuff. Want to get a little bit more into the history of money and banking. So I'll be trying to do a little bit more solo videos this week, and then scheduling out some interviews with higher profile people. And I do encourage people to check out that interview that both me and you did separately with Reggie Middleton recently.
Yeah, that was a good interview. We saw him down in Miami. Had a great time with him down there. He was.
He's a cool dude to hang out with.
Of course.
That picture with him where he's just like, that's great.
That like sums up his personality. Like, he's got to be front and center.
Yeah.
It
was good. I enjoyed
it was. Oh yeah, that's my guy. Mind your biz. What do you have coming up this week on your channel?
So this week I'm going to be doing a bit more short form for news coverage. If I am doing anything a little bit long, by short form I mean YouTube short form, 10, 12 minutes. You guys know the format. I'm going to be continuing to build up TikTok. So if you're not following me there, some of it's just like, we kind of act silly over there, but also try to keep it information dense in a short amount of time. Trying to make sure you guys have enough time to dig into this fourth turning stuff that Rice is publishing. But then also going over some stuff that's a little bit more oriented towards privacy, a little bit more oriented towards security. A lot of people out there, it doesn't matter that prices are pulling back. A lot of people getting wrecked because they're just being fooled with airdrops and bad crypto scams. Like, not everything is a scam, but there are a lot of scams that are within crypto. And so I want to try to help keep people a little bit safer. But the only way you can stay safe is by learning how. So privacy and security is on the menu. And then as far as news and some of my channel, a little bit less live stream and a lot more just short form, but maybe higher frequency stuff this week. So
sweet.
Good. That's what's up, man. So
what about you, Blood? What you got coming up on your channel this week? People need to pay attention to.
So I don't want to leak who, but there were some people we met down in Miami that I'm gonna have on, comedian.
Okay.
Two. I know.
Have you already got it booked, or you already done them?
Yeah. One of them.
Okay.
One of them. So that's gonna be interesting. He's
the bald-headed artist. Is that one of them? The demon.
No. I'm gonna reach out to him.
Okay.
Yeah. I can say him. I think I mentioned on my channel that I was gonna have NFT Demon on. He's the highest selling NFT artist on Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah.
So it was cool hanging out with him down in Miami. Actually, twice. He was down there in December.
Yeah, he's an interesting character.
He has a very interesting life. That's what I want to go through with him.
Mr. No Fucks.
He actually, Mr. No Fucks. That's literally his
he changed his middle name legally, Seth, so that when you look at his license, it says Jeremy No Fucks last name.
Crazy.
Is it like German spelling, like Fuch?
No.
No.
S? Oh my
It's
gosh.
FUCKS.
CK.
Yeah,
How is that legal in this country? I mean, I think it's great that
Well,
it
it
is.
was one
but-
word.
One word.
Okay.
One word.
NOFUCKS. It's Swedish.
It's sweet. No, it's French. Excuse my French, right?
Parlez-vous, my français. Yeah, excuse my French.
Excuse my French. It's French. But that's a normal thing, my 2 Satoshi videos or
Cool.
whatnot.
Looking forward to that, especially the comedian.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it though.
Sweet.
Episode 68. Ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys later. We out of here.
Holla!
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin.
That's another episode off the chain, episode 68. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And if you love this live stream, definitely share with other people so they can hear this informative information. People need to hear this. No longer do we need what coin is going up 100x, 10x, 1000x, all that. We need real information to help everyone be a better crypto investor. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to RiceTVx, and subscribe to Mind Your Business. It's your boy Crypto Blood. I'm out of here.
Trying to chase all this bread, though the shit won't last. About to shut the city down like a crypto crash.